Good, just want to make a quick video on separation anxiety. I wanted to make this video because I just recently saw a trainer talking about that. That also reminded me of another trainer that talked about separation anxiety, but in a little bit of a wrong way. Separation anxiety is a real thing. That's not made up. It's real. Separation anxiety means the dog is stressed out when the owner or its person is not there. Sometimes it's when another dog that it's attached to is not there. But in most cases, typically it's the owner. So if I have a dog and I leave that room or I leave the house, this dog with separation anxiety would just be stressed out. He would do things like panting, excessive drooling, that could be a symptom, some destructive behaviors, and a lot of vocalization. This could mean that the dog has separation anxiety. It could. It doesn't mean that it has separation anxiety. So the one trainer that talked about separation anxiety in a way that was not right implied that separation anxiety is not real, it's made up. He kind of goes even as far as slightly making fun of it, slightly making fun of separation anxiety, the diagnosis of it. And he says, oh, here at this blank training facility, we don't have separation anxiety. And he starts to kind of mock into the camera. He starts kind of mocking the whole, idea of separation anxiety. And he goes, no, we don't have anything here. We don't see any separation anxiety. And people are freaking out. Shut up. He's just such a freaking douche. I can't even stand him to begin with. Again, I'm not going to say his name. I usually don't like to use names. Unless it's Victoria Stillwell, screw her. But, this guy says, there is no such thing as separation anxiety. He implies this. And then he says, here is how we fix separation anxiety here at our facility. And then he goes on to, he explains how with a correction, he fixes separation anxiety. He even goes as far as showing you with his hand. He goes, with my hand, and he makes this little bite thing, right? I just kind of do a correction when the dog is whining in the crate, and I go in and I just give him a correction on his side, and that's it. And then the separation anxiety goes away. And he has his little subject. He's got a dog that is in the crate. And he goes, look at this dog, he has separation anxiety. And look at him now. He sends him to the crate. The dog, of course, doesn't make a beep. And he goes, see, there's no separation anxiety. Here's how we fixed it. But of course, the dog looks terrified. The dog does not look happy. As the dog goes into the crate, it's kind of looking up. It's kind of giving these slightly, slight submissive displays. You can tell that this guy has definitely applied his technique, and it's been effective, at least at quieting him down. There is a big possibility that obviously this guy doesn't understand separation anxiety, but there's a big possibility that what he thought was separation anxiety was actually not separation anxiety. So if my dog, for instance, goes in the crate and he whines when he's in the crate, it doesn't mean he has separation anxiety. It could just mean he doesn't like the crate. It could just mean he's not crate trained. If a dog vocalizes when I'm gone, it doesn't mean that it has separation anxiety. It could mean that it's just bored. It could mean that whatever movement or activity is going on outside is causing him to bark. It could be nuisance barking, just be barking out of boredom. So that doesn't mean he has separation anxiety. So diagnosis has to be proper, because most pet people, most clients think their dogs have separation anxiety. Most of the time, it's not separation anxiety. So a trained professional, somebody who actually understands what separation anxiety is, will be able to tell you, yes, your dog has separation anxiety, or no, your dog is actually doing something else. If your dog is doing something else, the techniques that this guy described will probably work, because the dog may just be exhibiting nuisance barking, or the dog might just not be crate trained, maybe he just doesn't like the crate. So that technique can probably work at telling the dog you should stop barking, or you should stop vocalizing when you're in the crate. But if the dog is truly experiencing stress when you are gone, If the dog truly has separation anxiety, correcting the dog is a terrible idea. You don't want to do that, because if the dog is experiencing anxiety, if the dog is actually stressed out because of the absence of its owner, when you add pressure to that, when you correct the dog when it's already stressed out, what do you think you're doing? You're not going to make it happy. You're adding more stress. So when you think, well, I'm just going to correct that, I'm going to do the little bite that this guy did. No, you're just adding more stress. So you have to be very careful with how you approach separation anxiety. If you're a dog trainer, do more research into what separation anxiety is. If you're a pet owner, go to a trained professional, somebody who actually knows what they're talking about. I know that's kind of difficult to gauge as a pet person, as a pet owner, but try your best. Maybe get a second opinion, get a third opinion. But you cannot beat separation anxiety out of a dog. You can't. The most that you'll do with a dog that has separation anxiety, and all you do is add pressure, what you're gonna do is you're gonna get rid of the vocalization, but you're not gonna get rid of the anxiety. You could actually increase the anxiety. So the dog will go from I'm anxious and I'm whining and barking because I'm anxious to, oh, well, I'm not allowed to whine, I'm not allowed to bark. Let me find something else that I can do to relieve my stress as best as I can. That usually means, they'll start licking their sides, they'll start licking their paws, they'll start self-mutilating, they'll start doing anything else but whining, because it's been corrected for whining, for barking, any type of vocalization. So be very, very careful. There is a way to approach separation anxiety. There is something there's a few things you can do. You can decouple departure cues. That in itself, we'll probably make another video on that topic specifically. But this quick clip, I just wanted to emphasize that separation anxiety is real. It's not made up. And you have to be careful how you approach that, because if you think you're approaching it right, and your dog actually has separation anxiety, you can make the problem way, way worse.